My wife cheated, but what hurt the most was what she did after I found out. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was one of those quiet summer evenings in Austin, Texas. The kind where the air feels warm and heavy, and the sun bleeds gold across everything it touches. I had just moved into a new apartment complex after taking a promotion at work, and she lived 2 doors down. Her name was Emily, and from the very first smile, I felt something change inside me. Emily wasn't the kind of woman who tried to draw attention. She didn't need to. She had this calm presence, soft brown eyes, an easy laugh, and a way of speaking that made even the simplest things sound interesting. I remember she was watering a row of half-dead plants on her balcony when we met. I made some joke about her plant cemetery, and she laughed, not politely, but genuinely. That laugh was the start of everything. We started talking almost every evening after that. Sometimes it was just small talk over the railing, sometimes late-night walks around the complex, sometimes sharing takeout when neither of us felt like cooking. I learned that she worked as a nurse, that she loved painting but hadn't done it in years, and that she believed people always deserved a second chance. That last part stuck with me. It said a lot about the kind of person she was. Our relationship moved fast, maybe too fast. Within a year, we were living together, and by the second year, we were married. The wedding wasn't huge, just family and close friends. I can still see her walking down the aisle, her smile trembling slightly, tears gathering in her eyes. I remember thinking that I was the luckiest man alive, that somehow the universe had chosen to give me more than I deserved. For the first few years, everything really did feel perfect. We'd wake up early, drink coffee on the porch, talk about future plans, maybe kids, maybe a small house outside the city. She'd tease me for being a workaholic, and I'd tease her for overwatering her plants. It was simple, honest happiness. But life has a way of shifting quietly before you even realize it. My job started demanding more of my time. Late nights, weekend calls, business trips that stretched longer than they should have. Emily said she understood, but I could tell she didn't like it. Sometimes I'd come home and find her already asleep, or worse, awake, scrolling through her phone with that faraway look in her eyes. I told myself it was fine, that every couple goes through phases like this. But I started to notice small things, her phone always on silent, her laughter fading when I entered the room, the way she guarded her screen like it contained state secrets. One evening, I got home earlier than usual. It was raining, and I just wanted to surprise her, maybe cook dinner together like we used to. But as soon as I walked in, she jumped like she'd seen a ghost. She fumbled with her phone and quickly turned it face down on the couch. I asked, "Who were you talking to?" She smiled, but it was that kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Just a friend from work," she said. Something about the way she said it made my stomach tighten. After that, I couldn't stop noticing the changes. She started staying late at work, saying her shifts were unpredictable. She began dressing differently. New perfume, more makeup, new clothes she'd never worn before. When I tried to compliment her, she'd shrug it off like she didn't care. At night, I'd lie awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I wanted to trust her. God, I really did. But every time her phone buzzed, I felt a cold wave of suspicion. I tried to talk to her one weekend. I told her I missed her, that we'd been distant, that I wanted us to reconnect. She hugged me and said, "I love you, you're just imagining things. Work's been stressful." And for a moment, I believed her. I wanted to believe her so badly. But then there were the messages. It started with something small. One night, her phone buzzed on the nightstand while she was in the shower. The screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize, Mark R. I didn't open it, not right away. But the curiosity, the fear, the unease, it all built up until I couldn't stand it. I finally picked it up and read the first line of the message. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." My heart dropped. My hands went cold. For a few seconds, everything around me just went quiet, like the world stopped moving. I remember hearing the water running in the shower, the faint sound of her humming, completely unaware that everything was crumbling in that moment. I put the phone down, walked out to the porch, and just stood there in the rain. I didn't cry, not yet. I just stood, numb, watching the water pour off the roof like it was washing something away. When she came out, wrapped in a towel, she looked surprised to see me standing there. "Hey, what's wrong?" she asked. I turned to her, my voice barely steady. "Who's Mark?" She froze. I'll never forget that split-second flicker of fear in her eyes before she tried to mask it with confusion. "He's just a guy from work," she said softly. "Why?" I stared at her for a long moment. "Because he just texted you that last night was amazing." Her face went pale. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Then she tried, "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. I walked past her, grabbed my keys, and left. I drove with no destination, just the hum of the tires on wet asphalt and my heart pounding in my chest. I felt betrayed, humiliated, lost. That night, I didn't go home. I parked at a 24-hour diner, sat in my car, and just stared at my reflection in the window. I kept replaying every moment of our life together, trying to find the point where it all went wrong. When the sun came up, I finally drove back. She was sitting on the couch, eyes red from crying. When I walked in, she whispered, "Please, just let me explain." And that's where everything really began to unravel. I stood there for a long moment, staring at her, not sure what to say. Everything I believed about us, the trust, the laughter, the quiet mornings together, it all felt like it had been rewritten in an instant. I didn't even feel angry at first, just empty. She reached out like she wanted to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "Please," she whispered, "it wasn't serious. It just happened." It just happened? I said quietly. You don't accidentally fall into someone else's bed, Emily. She started crying again, hands trembling, voice breaking. I was lonely. You were gone all the time. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, to make her feel the chaos that was tearing me apart inside. But instead, I just sank onto the edge of the couch, staring at the floor. My wedding ring felt like it weighed 100 pounds. How long? I finally asked. She hesitated. That hesitation told me more than any words could. A few months, she said quietly. Months. Not a drunken mistake, not a moment of weakness, months of lying, sneaking around, pretending everything was fine. I pressed my hands against my face, trying to breathe through the anger that was starting to boil up. Did you love him? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. She shook her head violently. No, it wasn't like that. It was just attention. I didn't mean to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. Didn't mean to? You lied to me every day for months, Emily. Every time you looked me in the eye, every I love you, every goodnight kiss, it was all fake. She started to sob harder, whispering, I'm sorry, over and over. But the words didn't mean anything anymore. I'd heard her voice say too many things that turned out to be lies. That morning, I packed a bag and left. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to get out before the walls closed in on me. I ended up at my friend Jason's place. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and let me sit there in silence for hours. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions, work, eating, pretending I was fine, but I wasn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that look of guilt, that voice saying, it just happened. I kept thinking about all the little things I'd ignored. The late nights, the new clothes, the phone she guarded like her life depended on it. I trusted her so blindly that I didn't see the truth staring me in the face. After a week, she called. I didn't answer at first, but she kept trying. Finally, I picked up. I want to talk, she said softly. Please, just come home. Let's talk. Every part of me wanted to hang up. But there was another part, the one that still remembered the woman I married, that needed closure. So I went. When I walked in, the house felt cold, unfamiliar. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of what she'd done had finally caught up to her. I've ended it, she said immediately. With Mark. It's over. I told him never to contact me again. I didn't respond. She took a shaky breath. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Therapy, counseling, anything. I just want you back. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But I couldn't stop thinking, if she'd done it once, what was stopping her from doing it again? I don't know if I can, I said quietly. I don't even recognize you anymore. Tears filled her eyes again. Please, don't give up on us. I stayed that night, not because I forgave her, but because I didn't know what else to do. The house still smelled like her perfume, like the home we'd built together. It was torture and comfort all at once. For weeks, we lived like ghosts, polite, distant, careful not to touch old wounds. She tried, I'll give her that. She deleted social media, changed her number, started therapy. But I couldn't shake the images in my head, her smiling at her phone, her whispering to someone who wasn't me. One night, I broke. I asked, did you ever bring him here? She hesitated, and that hesitation destroyed whatever pieces of trust were left. Yes, she whispered, once. I'm sorry. That was it, the end, the moment something inside me truly snapped. I packed my things again, this time for good. I told her I couldn't do it anymore, that I'd rather be alone than live with a memory that hurt every time I looked at her. She begged, she cried, she said she'd never forgive herself, but none of it mattered. The next morning, I filed for separation. People tell you that time heals everything. That's not true. Time doesn't heal, it just dulls the edges until the pain becomes something you can live with. But it's always there, like a scar you can't stop touching. Months passed. I focused on work, on rebuilding myself. But I couldn't stop wondering about him, about Mark. I never confronted him, though I thought about it 1,000 times. What would it change? Nothing. Then, one night, I got a message. An unknown number. You don't know me, but you need to see this. Attached was a photo. It was Emily, with Mark. Recent, laughing, holding hands at a restaurant. My chest tightened so hard it felt like I couldn't breathe. After all the promises, after all the tears, after everything she said, she went back to him. That's when something inside me shifted again. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. I realized she was never the woman I thought she was. Maybe she was once, but not anymore. The next morning, I deleted her number, blocked her on everything, and started over. Really started over this time. It's been a year now since that day. I moved to a different city, closer to my brother. I've started running again, picked up photography, and found parts of myself I didn't even know I'd lost. Sometimes, I still think about her, not with anger, but with a quiet kind of acceptance. She was a chapter in my life, not the whole story. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that love without honesty isn't love at all. It's an illusion, beautiful for a while, but destined to shatter. It's strange how quiet life becomes after chaos. For so long, my days were filled with arguments, late-night doubts, checking her phone in my mind even when she wasn't there. And then, suddenly, it was just silence. No messages, no explanations, no lies, just me in the quiet. At first that silence felt unbearable. I'd wake up in the middle of the night expecting to hear her breathing next to me, only to find an empty space. I'd reach across the bed and my hand would hit the cold sheet, and that small, simple thing would break me all over again. I didn't realize how much of my identity had become tied to her until she was gone. But slowly, piece by piece, I started to rebuild. I began taking walks before sunrise, when the world is still half asleep and honest. I grabbed coffee from this small shop downtown, the kind of place where no one knows your story, and you can just exist without pretending. There was peace in that. One morning, I was sitting by the window, camera in hand, trying to capture the way light spilled across the street when I heard a familiar voice behind me. For a second, my heart stopped. I turned, and there she was, Emily. She looked different. Her hair was shorter, her smile softer, almost fragile. She hesitated before walking over. "Hey," she said quietly. I didn't say anything at first. My mind went blank, 1,000 memories rushing in all at once. Our first apartment, the night I found the message, every promise broken. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," she said. I nodded slowly. "Neither did I." She took a breath. "I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. Not the kind of sorry that comes from guilt, the kind that comes from realizing too late what you destroyed." I watched her for a long moment. There was no anger left in me anymore. Just a quiet kind of sadness for what could have been. "I hope you're happy," I said softly. "Truly." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm trying," she whispered. "But I'll never forgive myself for what I did to you." And then she walked away. No dramatic ending, no second chance, just two people who used to love each other passing in the morning light. I sat there for a while after she left, watching the sun climb higher, feeling something inside me finally settle. For the first time in years, I didn't feel pain when I thought of her, just acceptance. The kind that comes when you realize not every story is meant to last forever. People always talk about closure like it's a door you close and never look back at. But I think closure is softer than that. It's when you stop asking why, when you stop replaying every detail in your head trying to change the ending. It's when you can finally look at your past and say, that was real. It hurt, but I survived. That's where I am now. I moved into a small place near the coast, nothing fancy, but it feels like mine. The air smells like salt, and the sound of the ocean has a way of reminding me that everything keeps moving, no matter what's been broken. I still wear my ring sometimes, not because I'm holding on to her, but because it reminds me of who I was, the man who believed in love enough to risk everything for it. I don't regret that. I'd rather have scars from loving deeply than an empty heart protected by fear. People ask me if I'll ever trust again. The truth is, I don't know. But I've learned that trust doesn't start with someone else, it starts with yourself. With knowing that even if everything falls apart again, you'll still be standing when the dust settles. Sometimes, late at night, I scroll through the old photos, not to torture myself, but to remember that once, I was capable of loving without fear. I smile at the good memories now, because even if it ended in betrayal, it wasn't all fake. There were moments that were real, moments that shaped who I am. And maybe that's the point. Some people come into your life to stay, and others to teach you lessons you didn't know you needed. Emily taught me pain, yes, but also forgiveness, self-worth, and the importance of never losing yourself while loving someone else. If you're listening to this and you've been through something similar, betrayal, heartbreak, loss, I want you to know, it doesn't define you. It changes you, but it doesn't destroy you. You'll heal in ways you don't even realize yet. One day you'll wake up and the first thing you feel won't be pain, but peace. Because eventually, we all find our way back to ourselves.